I'll start by saying this, that normally I'm seated here with someone related to New York government and politics. But when I met this gentleman, I learned about what he's built in Orlando, his entrepreneurial spirit, his science background similar to mine, and the fact that he's able to bring people together from all different cultures, backgrounds, environments, and spirits and politics, really around food. It's this idea of using food as a medium to produce something magical in the community. And it's an opportunity of something that could come right here to New York City.
Who's inside? What's the move? Skies in the room, bringing you through our culture point of view. If the matters, we're in the room.
We're in the room with Nadeem Battla, the president and CEO of World Food Trucks. So happy to have you here all the way from Orlando. Thanks for coming to New York City.
It's my pleasure. I love the city.
And I love what I've learned about World Food Trucks. You know, our mutual friend, Brad Gersman, he was my first boss in the private sector. So he's the one that introduced us. And I like to say that I practice human chemistry. I do experiments where we bring different people into different rooms and see how they'll bond, react, form solutions. And what I found interesting learning about you, Nadeem, and World Food Trucks is you do something similar, but through food as that experimentation.
That's exactly right. World Food Trucks is the largest permanent food truck park in the United States. We now have 102 food trucks serving nearly 3 million customers. And our trucks represent all the countries around, not all the countries around the world, but several countries around the world. It's in Orlando, you can imagine it's primarily Latino. So we've got Dominican, Puerto Rican, Venezuelan, Colombian, El Salvador, Brazil, and of course we've got hamburgers, hot dogs, pizza, Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, right? So we really love this idea of creating culture and community through food.
Right. And when you say like World Food Trucks, it's a food truck park with over 100 trucks. What is that? I think people have an idea in their head when they think of a food truck. What is unique about the way that you're able to bring these trucks together?
So we're a permanent food truck park. We're not a food truck festival that's a third Thursday or a first Friday or whenever there's a sporting event in town. The trucks are on our property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The other thing that we provide for the trucks is all of their infrastructure. So we like to create a pleasant dining and cultural environment. We've got live music. We don't allow generators to go. We're very particular about keeping the park safe, clean, and fun.
So how does it work when you say you provide the infrastructure and no generators? So it probably is very quiet compared to what someone would think of a food truck that they might see on the street.
Yes, absolutely. You can imagine how much noise 102 generators would cause. There's no way you could enjoy your meal with your friends and family in that type of environment. So we provide electrical service to all of the trucks so they don't have to run the generators. We also provide gas delivery services. We provide grease traps and dumpsters and used cooking oil recycling. We have 24-hour-a-day security. We've got maintenance staff. Everything that the food truck needs to operate, we provide for them.
So you said it's the largest food truck park in America. So it seems like a novel concept. I don't think there's anything like this that exists in other places.
So there are some smaller food truck parks. Austin has one, Houston has one, Tucson, Arizona has one, but they tend to be 4 or 5 trucks. And we have found the magic number seems to be once you cross 50. That's when it really captures people's imagination. Like, wow, I can go try a different food truck every single week for an entire year before I reach the same truck again.
And even that safety aspect and public health aspect. I have my master's in public health. I'm thinking about getting rid of that grease and water and everything you mentioned. I assume that's regulated by the city Department of Health here in New York. But is that something you manage now as World Food Trucks?
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the benefits to the municipalities is that instead of having to regulate and keep their arms around 102 trucks, now they have one point of contact. Now they have one point of contact. So when the Department of Business and Professional Regulations of the state of Florida, when they do their inspections, they come and see me. We do inspections on a monthly basis on all of our trucks. We make sure that all the fridges and freezers are at temperature. We make sure that everybody's got hot and cold running water. We make sure that everybody is washing their hands properly. So when DBPR comes on the property, we provide them with our notebook that has all of the inspections on there. Obviously, DBPR is going and doing their own inspections as well. But because the trucks are so accustomed to being inspected on a regular basis, they never fail the DBPR inspections. And not only does DBPR come, but the fire marshal comes twice a year. All of the trucks are inspected for their propane tanks as well as their fire suppression systems. We make sure that all of those inspections are recorded. We keep everything in notebooks. So when the fire marshal comes to inspect the trucks, we hand her the notebook. It has all the certifications from the relevant authorities, from the relevant inspection agencies, and they can, instead of spending a month chasing 100 trucks and doing the inspections, they can come to our site and they're done in 6 hours.
So this concept that you've developed in Orlando, it's doing really well. It's very exciting seeing all the fanfare on social media and hearing about all these different stories of these immigrants and entrepreneurs that have a food truck and they can launch a business. So you're taking the show on the road, so to speak, that you're looking around the country and thinking where you can open up next.
That's correct. So we have over 2,000 trucks on a waiting list right now, which sounds amazing, but no one's making any money from a waiting list. No, I'm certainly not, and the trucks aren't either. So we feel like we've created this wonderful proof of concept. And yes, we are looking to take this concept across the country.
Yeah. So how did you come up with this concept?
I wish I could sit here and tell you that I'm a genius and this was my idea the entire time. That would be a lie.
Okay.
Really, what we started with was just 2 trucks. And we were really trying to create an incentive for customers to come and visit the shopping center. And the food trucks just became a massive hit. 2 trucks turned to 4, 4 turned to 8, and next thing you know, we're at 102 trucks.
So even when you started it in Orlando as the first location, what was that process like? How did you come about building this World Food Truck Park, the largest stationary food truck park in America?
So originally the idea was, how do we get more traffic to our shopping center? And I was racking my brain about
You owned
it.
a shopping center?
We own the real estate in Orlando that the food trucks sit on. It's a 70,000 square foot shopping center. It's a 50,000 square foot indoor flea market. It's a 10,000 square foot arcade, and then a 10,000 square foot shooting gallery. And so we were trying to consider, how do we get more people to come and visit? And I lucked out in that my mentor was an older Jewish gentleman. His name was Sid Levy, and he owned a flea market up in Sanford, which is about 40, 50 miles north of where my property is. And he told me something I'll never forget. He said, Nadeem, people don't come to my flea market for the shopping. They come to my flea market for the food, and they stay for the shopping. And that was really the first time that I thought that food was the solution to how do I bring more people to come to my shopping center. And then I was thinking that, I could have the greatest chefs in the world. I could have Jose Andres. I could have Guy Fieri. I could have Gordon Ramsay cooking inside the market, but it would cost me millions of dollars of advertising and marketing in order to get that word out. And then I happened to be on a property one day and I saw 4 food trucks parked permanently. They weren't using generators. They were plugged in electric. And that was my light bulb moment. If I could put food trucks up along US Highway 192, which for people who don't know Orlando, that's the main road leading to Walt Disney World. Food trucks are so brightly colored. They're so beautiful. They're so eye-catching, and everybody knows what a food truck is. People would drive down 192. They would see the food trucks. They'd pull in, grab something to eat, and then come inside and do their shopping.
Right.
That was the original idea. The food trucks became such an unbelievable hit that the original 2 trucks turned into 4 trucks. And like we said, now we're at over 100 trucks.
How do you find the different food vendors?
They find us now, right? We've got a huge social media presence. We've got almost 500,000 followers across all of our accounts. Last year, we had 70 million impressions. We had 3 million interactions. So people are finding us about either social media or through word of mouth. But in the beginning, we actually went out and we drove around, and every time we saw a food truck, we'd stop and we'd give our business card to them and say, hey, instead of parking here illegally, why don't you come and join us at World Food Trucks?
Wow. And what? The reception, I growing from 2 to 8 to over 100, I assume the reception, it was well received, having that invitation.
It was, absolutely. I feel we solve a lot of problems, not only for the food trucks, but for the municipalities as well. So for the food trucks, I've always felt that food trucks is a great business while you are open. Right. But then the problem becomes is what do you do when you're not open for business? Where do you dump all of your waste, your used cooking oil, your gray water, your trash? Where do you store the truck when you're not open for business? Most HOAs will not allow you to park a food truck or a food trailer in your driveway. And then also, how does the food truck let their customers know where they're going to be? Because they're constantly moving around. So at World Food Trucks, now the customer knows exactly where the food truck is going to be. We have all of the infrastructure in place for the food trucks. We already talked about their utilities, but we also have the commissary kitchen on site. We have pantry storage for the trucks as well. So we have dry storage, we have cold storage, walk-in coolers, walk-in freezers that belong to the food truck themselves. So they're not having to share it with other food trucks, and then, items are getting stolen or misplaced or borrowed or taken without anybody knowing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking even from like a New York City lens. I know in Orlando you have more space. Like how much space does your World Food Trucks take up right now?
So the trucks themselves sit on about 40,000 square feet, but the vast majority of our acreage in Orlando is for parking. We have parking for 1,200 cars, and we found that's absolutely necessary because Florida is a very, very driving culture.
Right.
It's one of the reasons I'm so excited about coming to a city like New York is I don't have to park cars on my property any longer. Everybody in New York, they either will Uber, they'll take a cab, or subway or buses. I love the public transportation aspect of the major cities.
I know there's a few, I don't know, they could be food carts, not necessarily food trucks that I see on the streets of Manhattan every once in a while. But some of them are very, very popular. You see them not only on social media, but written up about in the news or maybe winning awards. And you see lines around the block, which of course in the middle of Manhattan in our grid causes a lot of traffic or sidewalk incidences. But people wait, they want to be there for that authentic food. And every one of these trucks has a different immigrant or entrepreneur story, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that's what we've found in Orlando as well, is that 99% of our truck owners are recent immigrants to America, and they are all building that American dream. And my dad came to the United States in 1959. He had scholarship to Columbia University. He landed in Manhattan. My mom came in 1963 as a medical doctor. So I grew up living that immigrant experience. And I feel that God has now given me the ability to help that next generation of immigrants to achieve their American dream as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sentiment. And as the show Hamilton says, immigrants, we get the job done.
We get the job done. That's absolutely right. I mean, we have so many stories. I just want to tell one.
Share some.
We have this one young lady, I think she's in her mid-20s. She was working full-time at Walt Disney World, but on the weekends she had a table, maybe 4 feet long, and she was selling elote, which is Mexican street corn. She now has 5 trucks.
Wow.
And I don't want to go into what her total revenues are, but she's making millions of dollars annually now. And here is somebody who could never have afforded to open a brick and mortar restaurant. The cost to buy a food truck, food cart, food trailer is less than the impact fees of a brick and mortar restaurant. In an industry where 90% of restaurants will fail in the first 5 years, and the ones that succeed, another 90% of those will fail in the next 10 years. So it's a very, very difficult environment to break into. I feel we have found a way to really help that first generation immigrants to start their American dream, to start their restaurant.
And right now, especially here in New York City, with that new Office of Street Vending Services and the whole idea of the World Cup coming to town, and Queens is the world's borough. Not that it has to go in Queens, but that's where I think it could go. Maybe it could go in the Bronx also, or maybe there's more land on Staten Island, or maybe there's other opportunities elsewhere. But I think everyone's on board with this idea of what can we do? We have an affordability crisis right here in New York City. So it's about how do we provide people the tools to succeed and expand, especially if they have their own business.
Absolutely. And the phrase I like to use is municipalities have lots of programs for millionaires and billionaires. I like to ask the question, what are your programs for the hundredaires and the thousandaires? And I'm not talking about handouts. I'm talking about a hand up, right? We've got programs in place. We have a World Food Truck Academy that teaches the vendors how do you go from a small one-person mom and pop operation to really a small, medium business. How do you open a bank account? How do you apply for credit card processing? How do you make a P&L? How do you make a cash flow statement? How do you do a balance sheet? What type of insurance do you need in order to protect your business and yourself? So the Academy is one step. We also have a lending program through our bank where if somebody has $3,000, $4,000 for the down payment, the bank will then fund the purchase of the truck, the trailer, the food cart. So we have lots of programs to help people to rise up that ladder and become successful. All we're looking for from municipalities is that public-private partnership on city-owned or municipal-owned land.
You've put together all of those resources to help these food trucks succeed.
Because when the food trucks succeed, then I as a landlord succeeds. And it goes back to trying to get more people to come onto the property. Ultimately, another mentor of mine had a great saying. He says, you do good in order to do well. And what he meant by that is you have to help the people that are generating the revenue for you. The more money that they make, the better that you will do ultimately. And New York City, it's the largest city in the country, one of the largest cities in the world. It could be considered the capital of the world, certainly one of the culinary capitals of the world.
I know. When I think of world food trucks, I think of Queens as the world's borough, and we're getting the World Cup coming to this area at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And as Queens Borough President Donovan Richards says, Queens get the money.
Yes, absolutely. Queens would be a wonderful location for us to open. It would be incredible. It's the most diverse city in the entire world.
Yeah, the most cultures are spoken in Queens, actually. The most languages
most
and
languages,
most cultures.
Yes, it's an incredible, incredible borough. We would be absolutely honored to be in the Queens borough as well as the other 4 boroughs of New York City.
Yeah. Something else I'm thinking of, we have a new mayor, Zoran Mamdani, and he, just as recently as last week, said that he's launching a new office of street vending services. And there's an organization, the Street Vendor Project, and their executive director is going to be leading that office within the mayor's office. So I wonder, knowing that, and if you want to expand to somewhere like New York City, if you have advice, maybe, that whether it's solicited or unsolicited, advice for someone in that position who's now overseeing street vendors, coming from the expert, World Food Trucks expert.
I would never deign to offer advice to an elected official. I'm here to answer questions. We feel solved a lot of problems for the municipalities in Florida, Osceola County, and the state of Florida as well. I would love to give my advice, what we have experienced. But the one thing that I can offer is that all of the vendors, the carts, trucks, trailers, whatever they happen to be, they would report directly to me. I would be in charge of making sure that they are following all of the established rules, regulations, policies, and procedures that come from the city and from the state. So that way, the city has one point of contact as opposed to 50 points of contact.
And it's you personally, or I imagine you have a team that works on site in Orlando.
Correct. As CEO, ultimately, I am responsible, but I absolutely have a team that is in charge of maintenance, repairs, qualifications. Absolutely, we have a wonderful team on the ground.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking in terms of economic development. It sounds like you're able to offer a lot of jobs if you create this stationary World Food Truck Park.
Yeah, so that's a great comment. That in Orlando we have over 1,000 employees on our less than 1 acre site. 100 trucks. Every truck has between 7 and 8 employees because they open it at 11 o'clock in the morning, and on the weekends we're closing at 4 a.m. Then we've got security guards. We've got repair and maintenance employees. We've got janitorial employees. We actually employ off-duty Osceola County Sheriff's deputies to make sure that it's a safe, clean, fun environment for everybody.
Wow.
So it's really an incredible job center that we have created. And outside of the theme parks and maybe hospitals, I can't think of another example of such type of job density on a single location. I mean, over 1,000 jobs on really 1 acre. That's really quite incredible what we've been able to create.
And of course, in that suburban landscape, it could look different than what it could look like or even how to get it done in an urban environment. Like you're mentioning, if you have a food truck cart, where does it sleep at night? Where does it go to? It can't be in a driveway. I'm imagining that having one stationary location could solve for a lot of these urban concerns.
Absolutely. If you think about the policy right now is every mobile street vendor must visit a commissary every single night, which is, so it's thousands of food carts, food trailers, food trucks that need to leave their location, go onto New York City streets in order to visit their commissary. Our concept has the commissary on site. So you're taking all of that traffic off of the roads, which is, I think it's a wonderful thing for everybody involved. It's great for the municipality. It's great for the commuters. It's great for the business owners.
Wow. So you think you could do something like that right here in New York City?
I absolutely believe that the concept is replicable. I think food trucks, food carts are it's something that everybody knows about. Everybody knows you can go to a food cart, a food truck, and get authentic, fresh food relatively inexpensively and relatively quickly.
When you say you have that waiting list of 2,000 people, where are they all from?
So they're from all over the country.
Wow.
And so as we start going to different municipalities, for example, let's say we open in Queens, we can sort our waiting list by zip code. So we can go down our list and pull food trucks that are exclusively from Queens, right? Or Lower East Side, or the Bronx, or Staten Island. We can always find food trucks from that particular borough. And that's really what we want to do, is we want the food trucks to be local to that community.
And you gave a stat on the amount of visitors. How many visitors do you get per year?
So we have nearly 3 million visitors in 2025. It's really an incredible amount of people are visiting our property. I could not be happier about that. It's really, I think we've really created something that showcases food and culture and community. It's really just something incredible.
Yeah, it really does sound that way. When we think of that here, when it comes to economic development and public-private partnerships and the amount of jobs that produces here in New York City, we've seen major projects, like Queens is getting 2 major casino projects, City Field, Resorts World, even a big project in Midtown. Any of these like massive projects are associated with hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of that public-private partnership funding. And like a huge project, the notorious project that was scheduled to come to New York City, the Amazon project, right in Queens also, was canceled because of this idea of tax breaks for mega corporations. But what you're saying is it's 4,000 acres. You need less than an acre of land to do this, and talk to us a little bit about what's in your mind of a public-private partnership. Like,
Sure.
how does it compare?
So I'm glad you brought that up. So yes, I'm looking for a public-private partnership, but I'm certainly not looking for hundreds of millions or even $1 billion. But what I am offering is 1,000 jobs on an acre of land.
Right.
Right. So here's an opportunity. And again, it goes back to that 100-acre and 1,000-acre concept, right? We don't need a lot of help. We just need a little bit of help. I'm certainly not going to sit here and ask for $600 million or $1.2 billion. That's not what I'm asking for, right? All I need is municipal-owned land that we can become partners on. Like we were talking about, in Orlando, we have over 1,000 employees coming out of 1 acre of land. And not only the employees, but the ownership. We have 100 entrepreneurs on our property. We have 100 families that, instead of working at $15, $18 an hour, are employing people at $18, $20, $24 an hour, right? So that's really what we're bringing to the city.
So if you don't mind sharing just a few numbers, I'm just curious. What is it like if someone wants to, they're on your waiting list, or you're coming to New York and you know there's a line out the door of people wanting to sign up to be part of World Food Trucks NYC. What does that look like for them?
So in terms of the rent, for the first year, we're not going to charge any rent. You know, we're getting this concept up and running. The only fee that we would be charging the trucks would be the commissary fee, which they have to pay anyways, and the overnight storage fee, which they would have to pay anyways. But besides that, we're not going to be charging anything. Obviously, you know, whatever electricity the trucks are using, they have to pay their utility bills. But we're not trying to make $1 million on day one. We really want to create something special in New York City and then grow from there.
So that's how it typically works, that you charge rent. Like each truck would pay rent on the property. That's how it typically works.
That's correct. So the rent, the trucks would pay rent, but for that rent, they now have access to the World Food Truck Academy. They have access to the World Food Truck marketing arm as well. So as you were mentioning, last year, World Food Trucks had 70 million impressions across all of our social media platforms. We had 3 million interactions. We have nearly 500,000 followers across all of our social media platforms. Any truck that's on a World Food Truck property automatically ties into that marketing piece. And then we're also creating a buying collective. So instead of each individual truck negotiating with Cisco or Restaurant Depot or Sam's or Costco, now we have 100 trucks that are negotiating, and we're getting a much better price. So for example, in Orlando, we had 3 million customers. You figure the average customer is spending about $25 per plate. That's $75 million in retail sales coming out of one property. We can go to the big players and we can negotiate a discount for a lot of these everyday items.
And you've mentioned on municipal land, you could do this on private land too with the right type of private partner.
If we found the right private landowner, we would absolutely do something with them.
Yeah. So back to this idea of 1,000 jobs in less than 1 acre of space, and entrepreneurs starting up their businesses in the food truck world. Right now, especially for this generation, like the moment that we're in right now in New York City and everywhere, is that there aren't a lot of private sector jobs available. They're on the decline. And there are a lot of young people that have either multiple jobs or they're creating their own job, like I did. So it's, how can you leverage the fact that there are young entrepreneurs out there that maybe want to go into food service and culture like you're talking about?
The entrepreneur, that is our food truck owner, right? That's who's going to own the food cart, food trailer, food truck. But you can't do it all by yourself, right? You can't sit in your cart 7 days a week, 20 hours a day. You're going to have to hire employees. And what we have done is we're partnering with local vocational programs, either through community colleges or private votechs, where you're getting employees trained to work specifically in a food truck or a food trailer. Because if you imagine cooking in a 200 square foot kitchen is a lot different and a very different skill set than cooking in a 2,000 square foot kitchen.
I think a lot of New York City residents probably have no problem with that in these tiny apartments that we live in.
So you've got the cart owner, that's the entrepreneur, but then you've got the employees that were partnering with the community colleges and the vocational schools.
Yeah, vocational training. There's a big push for vocational training right now.
And then the vocational colleges can do their internship programs inside the food carts and food trucks.
Wow.
So they can get a certification that they have worked inside a food truck for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and then they get a certificate saying that, not only have they done that program through the vocational school, but they've also completed the World Food Truck Academy. We do test everybody's food before they come on the property. Mm-hmm. So before we sign the lease, we'll always have them cook 4 or 5 dishes. My management team will sit down and we'll try their dishes just to make sure that their food is up to the standards of World Food Trucks. We protect the World Food Truck brand very religiously.
Okay.
Almost everything that we do at the food truck park is to protect our brand. So it's one of the reasons why we're so religious about the inspections, is that if you come to my property and you get sick because you ate at Tony's Tacos, you're not going to say Tony's Tacos in your review on Google. You're going to say you got sick at World Food Trucks. Mm-hmm. So everything that has to do with safe, clean, and fun, we keep that in-house. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We're very, very protective of our brand.
What is the perfect combination of situations to come to New York City in terms of the music, the location, the vibe? You mentioned you have private security. Thinking about all the elements there in that equation in order to come up with the hypothesis and prove the theory.
The hypothesis that we have begun to prove in Orlando is we need easy ingress egress. That's really what it boils down to. It has to be easy to get to the location. Obviously, we're going to be having live music. We're going to be having lots of people. We're going to be having lots of food. We need to have a little bit of a barrier between us and residents. We don't want to be a burden to the community. We don't want to be a nuisance to the community. Okay. We want to be a partner in the community, right? We want to be an accessory to the community.
Accessory to the community. Okay, so the egress, the location, easily accessible, mm-hmm. and adding something.
And adding to the community.
Mm-hmm. This idea of a value add, an amenity to the community. What, besides for the live music and obviously bringing jobs, what else can be created for this type of a partnership?
So that's one of the best things about the public-private partnership. We would bring in a tremendous amount of infrastructure into any of these food truck parks. Obviously, we're going to need bathrooms, and any bathroom on publicly owned land will be open to the public as long as we are open for business. So certainly public restrooms that we would be building is a huge benefit to the community.
That's always a win here in New York City if you can provide public bathrooms.
We would also be providing lots of lighting. We provide security, on-site security at all of our food truck parks. For example, at our Orlando food truck park, we're spending over $6,000 a week between our private security guards as well as off-duty Osceola County Sheriff's deputies. Mm-hmm. So now we're creating a very safe environment for not just our customers, but for the residents who live in the area. We augment the parks with plenty of lighting, because people who are nefarious don't want to go into an area that is well lit with lots of security and lots of people enjoying themselves. They'd rather go somewhere else.
I mean, here in New York City, another thing are community boards, having everyone sign off on this idea of it coming to the area and really showcasing how it would be an amenity and a value add to the community.
We don't want to step on anybody's toes. We want to get along with all of our neighbors.
And that aligns with something you shared with me a little earlier before we started recording, is that you too studied science in college, just like I did.
I did. I was a biology major and a chemistry major at Brandeis University.
So there's something about the way a scientific brain works compared to the other types of brains out there.
I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying that I loved your idea about taking your hypothesis, testing it, and then coming up with a theory at the end.
Right.
And I think that's what we do at World Food Trucks is we have all of these hypotheses. All of what's going to work, what type of social media platform is going to work, what type of music is going to work, what type of food lineup should we have. We will try everything. The customer ultimately dictates what works and what doesn't work.
Okay, so right now, do you have a favorite food truck?
That's like asking me who's my favorite child. I can't tell you who my favorite food truck is. I love them all the same. Obviously some of the food trucks are doing better in terms of sales volume than others, but they're all good people. They all do a great job at preparing their food. So obviously my favorite food is Indian Pakistani food.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that is the one cuisine we do not have at World Food Trucks in Orlando. It's what I'm super excited about coming to New York City because I know I can find a good Indian Pakistani food truck here.
Of course you can. This is the greatest city in the world.
I'm telling you, I can't wait to have a great Pakistani Indian food truck on my property.
Wow, okay.
Those poor guys are going to be cooking for me every single day.
When it comes to the Indian Pakistani, that's your culture? So you grew up eating that food? Is that why that's your favorite?
I did. Both my mom and dad are from Pakistan. They immigrated to America in the late 50s, early 60s from Pakistan. My mom was a medical doctor. My dad was an engineer. But we grew up eating Indian Pakistani food. It's my favorite.
And that's your combination. Your brain is doctor and engineer combined, math and science.
That's what I like to think.
So of course you're critical when it comes to the Indian Pakistani food truck and chefs because you grew up eating it with your parents making it.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've really got to put someone to the test here in New York.
If I can find somebody who makes great nahari, great halim, great goat biryani, they're on the property. They're top of the waiting list.
I don't think I've tried this food. I've eaten Indian food and maybe I've eaten Pakistani food, but what makes it Indian Pakistani?
The biggest difference between Indian cooking and Pakistani cooking is the use of beef. So you can imagine in India, nobody is cooking with beef. It's lamb, it's goat, it's chicken. But in Pakistan, they actually do use beef in their food. So that's the primary difference.
Mm-hmm. So that, and give another one of your favorites.
I love Italian food as well. My wife is half Italian. A good chicken parm, a good fettuccine Alfredo. You can tell I love that.
Okay, so your wife is half Italian and you're Indian Pakistani and you have 4 kids.
4 kids.
So they're Italian, Indian, Pakistani.
So my 3 kids are Indian Pakistani with my ex-wife.
Okay.
And my stepson is German, Italian, Irish.
So you have a nice cultural blend going on.
We have a nice culture. In fact,
your
we
family.
just celebrated Easter on Sunday, where we all got together and had lamb, roasted potatoes, broccolini, and key lime pie.
Oh, great. Look at that cultural blend within your own
that's
family.
a cultural blend.
And that's what you do for business also.
And that's what we do for business
Bringing
as
the
well.
cultures together.
Yes.
Do you have any culinary skills yourself besides for your upbringing and your own life experience?
So I never cooked until I was almost 50 years old.
Recently?
Very, very recently. So I have had to learn how to cook on my own because I love Indian Pakistani food. I married a nice Italian girl. She's great at cooking Italian, not really good at cooking Indian Pakistani. So
she can't have a truck at World Food Trucks.
So she can have an Italian truck at World Food Trucks. She can't have an Indian Pakistani truck at World Food Trucks.
Okay, so you've just learned to cook.
I know, and the way I'm learning to cook is YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So there are several people that I follow, and I like watching them cook. I like watching their techniques.
That's great. That's a lot of fun. I guess I'm going to have to come visit World Food Trucks in Orlando.
You need to come visit food trucks. Bring sweatpants, elastic pants.
Oh, because we're going to eat a lot?
Because you're going to eat a lot. Yes.
Oh, wow. I really look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hosting you soon.
Yeah, I'm going to come check it out. I don't know what my strategy is going to be. Are you going to help me with the strategy of who we're going to visit and how we
I think we need
navigate?
We probably need to hit one truck from every country. So we do Venezuela, we do Dominican Republic, we do Puerto Rico, we do Chinese, we do sushi. Some of the hamburgers are monster. I mean, literally we have one truck, Dopamina. It has a 4-patty hamburger that they then pour a pound of cheese melted on top of it.
Does anyone ever finish that?
Nobody finishes that.
So you got to come with friends and share
You got to
it.
come with friends, and we'll eat our way through the food truck park.
Wow, that's really, really, really fun.
Our map is fixed, so we've got maps on our app. We've got maps on our website, and then we've got printed maps at the property. So if you're looking for your particular food truck or the ethnic type of food you're looking for, it's easy for you to find it.
So the best way to experience something instead of being told about it is really to experience it for yourself. So I look forward to accepting your invitation to coming to visit World Food Trucks in Orlando and getting excited about showing my audience what could happen right here in the greatest city of the world, New York.
I'm very excited to host you soon.
Thank you, Nadeem.
Thank you, Sky.
World Food Trucks. Can't wait to come visit you in Orlando and can't wait to tell everyone about what maybe we're going to be able to bring to New York.
God willing.